Okay, this is a video on declaring variables. So this project is going to be square area. Remember, no names in the, or no spaces in your, and I can't type today, my fingers are frozen from this room. So, first thing you do, I'm still going over this with you, some of you are still forgetting, the first thing you should do is name your form, and this one's going to be square area, and once again, names do not have spaces. And change your text to square area. Actually, I can look at it on my... Okay, so what we're going to do is add in a label here, and this is going to be LBL question. If you haven't named it already, the name of it should be LBL question. And for now, the text is going to be, what is the area of a square with a side of 5? I'm going to need a place for my answer. So right here, I'm going to have LBL answer. And it does not need any text at this time. And then I'm going to have a button which the user will click to get the answer. So BTN answer. Now just a reminder that your text should have shortcuts. So ampersand answer. And I'll zoom in on that so you can see it. Ampersand answer for your text, and that adds the underline in, so that when you run it, Alt A would in essence click your answer. We don't have any code, so nothing happens. Okay, we're going to go over some different things here. Let's double click the answer button, and that brings us to the code. But the first thing you should do and get in the habit of is going to the top and putting in comments. So put in your name, and the project is this is square area, and this is for intro to variables is the purpose of this project, and it is October of 2016. Get in that habit right now so that you don't forget later on. So the purpose of this project, as you can see, is simply to get the result when asking for the area of a square with a side of 5. So it's a pretty useless project the way it is, but we're going to have it evolve. So the first thing we need to do is have a variable to hold the length of the side. So it's dim, which stands for dimension, and we're going to say side, and it is of an integer type. Integers are numbers without decimal places. Okay, and we also need a variable to represent the area. And you need to ask yourself, is it possible this area would have a decimal? Well, you need to know the formula for the area of a square, and if the side's an integer, the area will also be an integer. Okay, sometimes it's going to be a double. A double is a variable that has a decimal value. So now you have declared your two variables that you require for this program. One of the rules of thumb to figure out your variables is to look at your form and ask yourself, how many inputs will this program have? And you know we're going to change this from always being a 5 to something else. So this program will have one input, the length of the side. Okay, so we have a variable for that input. How many things are we figuring out? We're figuring out area. So I have one variable for my output. So that will help you figure out what you need for variables, is how many inputs and how many outputs. Rule of thumb, one for each. So in this program, and all programs receive some sort of input, figure out some sort of answer, process it, and the answer might be a mathematical equation or having a dude run across the screen waving a butterfly net. Depends what your program's doing. And the output is what you get out of it. So you'll see the dude running, or you'll see the answer, or the answer will go into a file. Input, process, output. The squiggly lines here, if you mouse over them, it just tells you you haven't used them yet. Not to worry at this point. Input. Well, right now, the only input we have is side. And side is equal to 5, apparently, because that's what our program says. Processing. Process is where you figure out the answer. Okay, so these are your notes. And in this case, area is going to be equal to, area of a square is side times side. Whoop. And in Visual Basic, times is represented by the asterisk, which is on your number pad, side times side. Output. Do something with the answer. So LBL answer dot text is going to be equal to area. After you code that, run your program. 1. So running the program, click, I get the answer. Beautiful. However, we can make it better. Okay, so to make things better, we're actually going to put our output in a nice format. So we're going to talk about string concatenation. Say the word concatenation. Alright, so now we're going to do this. Area of the square is concatenate with the answer. So when you run your program, I get a lot nicer looking output. Okay? So how do we make this program better? To make this program better, I'm going to want something other than 5 for my side all the time. In other words, I'm going to want to get information from the user. So we're going to make a few modifications. Select your LBL question and change the name of it to be LBL side prompt. Prompt is what you prompt the user for. So this is LBL side prompt. Here's the name. Whoop, I lost it. Hang on. Lost my properties. Okay, can you see it? Change the text so that it prompts the user for a side. In other words, enter a side length. Now if you look over here, my new label looks like that. Enter a side length. In order to get my information, I need a text box, so I'm going to grab a text box. I'll double click it and it will add one in for me. And I'll put it here. And the prefix will be txt. So txt side. txt side. Okay, we're going to modify our code. So now instead of side equal to 5, this no longer is relevant. I'm just going to comment it out. Commenting out your code is a good thing to do instead of just automatically deleting, because then you can see what you had that worked. Now I need to say that side is not 5, it's txt side.text. In other words, it's whatever text, the information, the user types into the text box. If you run your program, it should work fine as long as you type in a number. So, running my program, I'm going to type in here 10. 10 times 10 is 100, and it worked. And if I change it to 7, 7 times 7 is 49, and it works. But you may have noticed that if you accidentally hit a letter of the alphabet and type it in, your program will crash. And there we go. And look at your error so you know what's going on. Conversion from string to integer is not valid. So what's happened here is that this side is expecting an integer, and we gave it something that wasn't an integer. It's like if you're expecting sugar in your tea and you put in salt instead, it's not going to be good. Okay? So to fix that, it's very simple. One of the easiest ways is to put the val function right around that, and val converts non-numeric entries to the value 0. That's what it does. So it doesn't crash, but it will give you the value 0. So try that out. And this time if I put in a W or something else, it's not going to crash on me. And it still works fine if you give it an integer. Okay, so right now our program's working perfectly fine. So we're going to clean up some housekeeping here. So I pressed F5 to run it. And in my program, when I do that, my focus is on my answer button. So when I run this, the focus was on my answer button, meaning that's the first thing that's selected. And if you press your tab key, your focus switches back and forth between the text box and the answer button. So right now, if you put the focus on answer and you hit enter, it's like clicking the button. Okay, so this is actually a poor design, and we want to fix that, because when you run this program, where's the first place you would want the focus to be? In the text box. So that is our tab order, and we've done it before. So go to your form, select your form, choose View, Tab Order, and click your way top to bottom, left to right through your controls. Pressing Escape will take them away, or again View Tab Order. Now when you run your program, your focus is in your text box. So there's the first thing you want to fix all the time. You want to be sure you do this, because I test without a mouse. And you want to test without a mouse before you hand in to me, because I will catch this stuff very quickly. The next thing is, everybody stop your program, run your program, type in a number, say 10. Right now I'd like to press enter to get my answer. Does that work? It does not. So choose your form, go to your properties, and set your accept button, here I'll zoom in, to the BTN answer button. Your form accept button needs to be BTN answer. Now when you run your program, F5 to run it, type in 10, press enter, much better. When you run your program and you tab through it, when the focus goes back to the text box, normally that text becomes selected like that. Okay, does that look familiar? When it's like that? So that all I have to do now is change it to a 5, press enter, okay? And it should be selected, so if I change it to a 7, press enter, the user using your program has a much easier time. So everybody double click your text box. And this is your text change, and we're going to do that one as well. But let's start with the one we just talked about. When you double click your text box, it brings you to the text change. Go up here and choose Got Focus. Got Focus. So when the text box gets the focus, we're going to say txt side.select all. Run your program. Type in a number, a big number like 10 or a 2 or 3 digit number. So I'm going to type in 101, enter. I'm going to tab. Ta-da! Now my text box number has the focus, it's all selected. Easy to change. That's what the Got Focus does. So running it, type in 10, the answer is 100. Tab, change your 10 to 5 and wait. What is the answer when the side is 5? Look at your program. The answer should be 25, but I'm seeing 100. How come I'm seeing 100? I didn't click enter. Is that the right answer? Is this a problem? Could we just say, well, the user should be smart enough to click enter? Question. Let's say I got to this far and the phone rang and I got up to answer it, and then I came back and this was a cash register, and this time you've ordered 5 items, but I bill you $100. Is that fair? But my program says that it's 100. Isn't that right? My program tells me it's 100. That's the kind of stuff that goes wrong when you don't do your job programming. When did that answer become incorrect? As soon as I changed the number. As soon as I changed the text in my text box. See? So if that answer is incorrect, what should I do with LBL answer? I'm going to make it equal to nothing. As soon as I change the text in my text box, LBL answer is going to be nothing. Okay. Full test. Press F5 to run it. Type in 10. Press enter. Tab. Tab. Still good. 10 is still 100. I'm going to type 5 and, whoops, 5. Good. I have no wrong answer showing. Press enter. Do I get the correct answer? I do. Okay. So, comment here. Housekeeping methods. Lose marks if you omit these. So we're going to comment the got focus. This selects the text when you tab to the text box. Text change. This deletes incorrect answers when the text box value changes. Very simple, often omitted, and therefore marks go down. I think the only thing that I would do to this program right now is the following. When I run it and I type in 10 and I get 100, the only other thing for me to do in this program is to type in another number. How do I, at this point, I have to backspace, right? And I don't want to do that. Okay, so once again, when I run this and I get 10, there's nothing else in this program for me to do. So if I want to get a new area, I have to backspace, backspace. Seems piddly, but if you did this 5,000 times today, you would be annoyed. It would be better if after I got my answer, this text was automatically selected and waiting. Where do I do that? In my answer code, right here. So same thing, txt side.select all. Easy. Try that. Run your program. 10, enter. 5, enter. This program is way more professional than the one we had 15 minutes ago. There you go. This is all of the housekeeping that you need to get full marks on your variable assignments.